So I stopped here for a moment on the Cameron Bluff side of Mount Magazine. I have my helmet on, so that's why I may sound a little funny. So this is my 2016 Kawasaki Special Edition. No mods. And I bought this in March of 2017. And sadly, I'm just now getting like 1,500 miles on it. Haven't done a lot of riding this year, which is a shame. But the weather in Arkansas is finally changing for the better, and I plan on curing that problem, as I'm doing today. So the question is, are bikes like the ZX14 still relevant? In this day and age of adventure bikes, amazing sport bikes, is a motorcycle like this still relevant? And for me, I'm going to say yes. Because you'll see a lot of comparisons between this and the S1000RR. Yes, speed-wise, they're comparable. But there's things that the ZX can do the S1000RR cannot. And one thing is the ZX is a polished piece. And when you ride it, despite the fact that it weighs almost 600 pounds stock full of fuel, it handles amazingly well for what it is. And I live, like I said, I'm here in Arkansas. And I'll show you a view here in a moment. And I've got lots of curvy roads to play on. So for me, the handling is actually surprising. Before this, I had a B-King. And then I also had a 2008 Hayabusa Special Edition. The white and silver version. I wish I'd never gotten rid of, but I could never get on with the Hayabusa because of the riding position. It was very stretched out from the bars to the tank, and the pegs were really high on it. So I just never could get comfortable. And I have a long inseam. I'm only 5'11", but I've got a 34-inch inseam. So I got long legs, kind of a shorter torso. And then, you know, I've got a pretty muscular build, so I'm about 240. So I'm not a small dude. But this bike fits me, and I'm comfortable on it. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't done any mods. The seat, this is a stock seat, is amazingly comfortable. It doesn't pack down on longer rides. It's tolerable. The bars, a lot of people put bar risers on them. I'm debating, but to be honest with you, I just really don't see the need. I like the fact that when you ride it, that you are a little bit leaned over. And that really works for you when you're doing more aggressive riding in the curves. So I'll probably leave the bars alone. By the way, they did a pretty good job of finishing this bike off. The special editions got, analyzed. No, they're not analyzed. Anodized top yoke there. Some nice little touches on it. And the smoked caps, lenses there on the reservoirs. So they did some little touches to it. Yeah, so you'll see the comparisons between this and the S1000RR. Yes, speed-wise, they're equivalent. But this thing on the road in 6th gear, you don't need any other gears. You can wind on the throttle on this, and you are gone. And with the stock cans, as you can see, and yes, these mofos are heavy. And how I know that is because I bought a center stand. Invaluable on a bike this heavy. Yeah, but the torque on this is just amazing. You can be in 6th gear, roll on the throttle, and before you know it, you're really doing 100 miles an hour. Like it's nothing, and you're not showing off. It's just that's how fast the bike accelerates. And if you want to take it down to 4th gear at 60 and accelerate, then you can make a show out of it. One other thing I like about motorcycles like the ZX14 is this motorcycle, when you ride it, it feels like one solid chunk. And that's a hard thing to pull off on a motorcycle. It feels like one solid piece of machinery. It doesn't feel like anything is trying to fight against the other thing. The suspension is set up actually really good from the factory. In fact, I haven't done any suspension setting changes to it. It's actually set up pretty well. But yeah, it's one solid piece, and it feels like it when you go down the road. The bike feels immovable, even in high winds, which is really a really nice thing to have. I had, for a while, I owned a FZ09, and I also owned a Daytona 675 Special Edition. The Daytona, what amazing bike that was. First time I rode it, I almost rode off the inside of a curve that I normally had to really try to take in my Sprint ST. But those bikes, as cool as they are, they don't have the solidity that this bike has right here. So for a longer range rider like me, I don't really ride around town. I like that solidity. I like that feeling that I've got one solid chunk underneath me. The stock suspension, like I said, the settings from the factory are actually pretty good. However, it could do some improvement. The stock shock, here in Arkansas, we have pretty hot summers. And after a long ride, after a couple 100 miles of going through curves and the twisties, the stock shocks, she starts to kind of sag a little bit, gets a little wallowy. So that is definitely one area that could be improved. And if you notice here in the United States, on these special editions, we don't get the Öhlins rear shock. All we get is these M50 calipers, which are amazing, by the way. The brakes really are amazing on this bike. No complaints with braking. First motorcycle I've owned where I didn't want to upgrade the brakes. So braking, I'll leave it alone. The back brake, it's just there. It's good for trail braking. But it's not really there to stop the bike. I mean, there's really not a lot of braking power there. But used in conjunction with the fronts, I mean, this thing it'll haul down pretty well. Traction control, I leave this in 1 for power and 1 for traction control. I've never had to turn the traction control completely off. The thing is, the bike is so smooth that there's really not an issue. The power is so controllable on this bike. You could get away without running the traction control whatsoever. But I just have it there as a safety net because, to be honest with you, Arkansas, we have beautiful roads, but we also have roadkill. We have deer. We have lots of deer. So, and elk. It depends on what part of the state you go to. So we have critters that like to jump out in front of you. Sometimes, in combination with the brakes, you'll downshift, get on the throttle, get around an obstacle. I've ridden it in the rain once, pretty heavy downpour, for about 60 miles. And she did well, even with the stock Brits Battle X20s here, the S14Rs. Again, smooth, controllable power, so really no issue riding it in the rain. And if you're in the rain, you can bump the traction control up to level 3, which is basically rain mode. But I never bothered with that, so she did fine in full power mode, actually. In fact, I don't think I ever saw the traction control light even go off. I don't know why they didn't give you a plaque for the 50th anniversary. She's got some bugs on her. But that's a face only a mama could love, but hey, it is what it is. But back to relevancy, my original question. Yes, I think these bikes are still relevant. Even though Kawasaki now has the H2 and the H2R, this is still their halo bike in many ways, and I hope they don't quit making it. I hope they update it and keep going forward with it, because it's incredible value for the money. I bought this bike in March for $11,000, and it's a lot of bike for 11 grand. These days, when a brand new Yamaha R6 is close to 13, it's a good deal. Can you see where they make their money on it, though? Yeah. If you start to really look at it, there's some cheaper components. I'm going to call them cheap, but cheaper components. And they've been making this bike for a long time. So they've paid for their tooling cost. The great thing, though, is these are upgradable. You can do whatever you want to do with it. So, yep, they're still relevant. Be interesting to see if Suzuki continues with the Hayabusa. The Hayabusa is even more than the ZX14. The Hayabusa is a halo nameplate. And I think they would be foolish of getting rid of it. But we'll see what they do. Anyway, that's just thoughts. Now, Oh, last thing. As far as mods, I am going to put a double bubble screen on it. The screen is a little low, as you can see by all the bugs that are on it. We have lots of bugs in Arkansas. And the wind hits me just right in my upper chest area. And I have a Shui RF1200 on. So it's a little noisy, not too bad. I mean, the stock screen is tolerable, but it could definitely be improved. Cans, I'll get real blunt with you right now. I have no inclination right now to change them out. I actually like the fact that this is kind of stealthy and kind of quiet. And it already makes 190 something horsepower. Am I really going to notice 10 more horsepower? The truth is no. No, there's very few places even in Arkansas where I can really wind this thing open. So I'll probably leave the cans the way they are for a while. I know they're heavy and they're kind of ugly, but they kind of actually fit this bike though. They kind of blend in. Seat, stock seat's great actually. Like I said, I don't think I'll be changing that anytime soon. I may get a luggage system for it though. Maybe a Ventura rack, which means I'll have to take off my cover here. But I may get a Ventura rack for it. I don't want to do saddlebags because there's really no good place to hang saddlebags on this one. Performance as far as the cans. Now, I might get the ECU reflashed. I've actually considered doing that though. But we'll see. I just mostly want to ride it. I'll have this one for a while because I'm in graduate school for my pediatric nurse practitioner degree. So I'll have to keep this one around. But you know what? She's a great stress reliever. So I'll take you down to the view here. So you guys are familiar, the Ozarks and the Ouachitas have a lot of these buildings. We're actually in Mount Magazine State Park. And a lot of these were built by the work program back in the 30s. So we have a lot of these old stone buildings. And all that sandstone comes from Arkansas. I mean, none of it's imported. Because, I mean, that's half of Arkansas is sandstone. And these sandstone bluffs. So you're actually looking west off of Mount Magazine. Now, it's really muggy today. Hurricane Irma, which is just now getting to Naples, has actually been blowing pretty strong winds towards us already. So yeah, but it's still pretty hazy because this mountain's kind of blocking the east wind right now. But anyway, on a clear day, you can actually see over to Mina from here, and you can see Rich Mountain, which is about 2,600 feet. And that's probably about 50 miles away from here, almost straight the direction the camera's pointed. You notice there's some little flat top ridges there over in the middle of the picture there. And then looking north here, on a more clear day, you can see towards Ozark, Arkansas, and towards the Arkansas River Valley. Kind of muggy, not much to see. Even there's not a lot of wind on this side of the mountain, so even the buzzards aren't flying today. So, but now if I go on the other side of the mountain, they'll be all over the place. But this mountain provides what they call a rain shadow effect. So areas north of the mountain don't get near as much rain as areas south of the mountain. Anyway, peace out.